the Brendan Ecker Influence. It is March 18th, 2026, and we're going to be covering the Clarity Act, some of the news that's happening with that, and the big developments that are happening with crypto. And hey, maybe oil can potentially reach $200 a barrel, right? There's a big Iran war happening that we can't really control. It's not really in our hands, right? So we're going to see what happens. We're going to look at the markets a little bit. Let's jump right into it. So I wanted to start with this article. And honestly, what do you guys think is really going to happen with all of this? What do you guys see happening with the Clarity Act? What do you guys see happening with all of this? The SEC clarifies the application of federal securities laws to crypto assets. So again, this is huge news for crypto. If you've been following crypto, you've been investing in crypto for a long time like myself. I've been in this market since about 2016, 2017. And so I can tell you it's definitely it's an intense race, right? The race goes on. The commission issued an interpretation that clarifies application of federal securities laws to crypto assets. This is a major step to provide greater clarity regarding the commission's treatment of crypto assets. And this is directly from the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission. Okay, so big stories developing also from the DL News. Clarity at last. Ether, Solana, and XRP are commodities. The SEC says in landmark interpretation of securities laws. So the summary of this is that the new SEC guidance sorts crypto assets into two categories: tokenized securities and non-security crypto assets. The latter category includes Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, and XRP. But any changes will require congressional action to endure. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission issued a landmark interpretation of federal securities laws on Tuesday that laid out rules for issuers of virtually all crypto assets. Broadly speaking, the new guidance supports crypto assets in two categories: tokenized securities and so-called non-security crypto assets. It's of profound importance, and it's what we've been asking for from the agency for 10 years before appealing to Congress. Miller Whitehouse Levine, the founder and CEO of Solana Policy Institute, told DL News. The crypto industry has long demanded clarity regarding the legal statutes of cryptocurrencies, arguing that they are an entirely new type of financial asset that doesn't neatly fall into the categories described by existing century-old regulations. I am pleased to announce that the SEC's persistent failure to provide clarity on this question is over. The SEC chair, Paul Atkins, told a packed auditorium at the D.C. blockchain on Tuesday. As we speak, the commission is implementing a token taxonomy and investment contracts interpretation. The SEC's guidance comes as senators work to advance legislation that does just that, and it aptly names the Clarity Act. Passed by the House of Representatives last year, the bill stalled in the Senate amid disagreement over stablecoin interest payments and other issues like rewards and yields. Speaking moments after Atkins, Senate Banking Committee Chair Tom Scott at the conference, he expected to see an updated draft of the bill by the end of the week. SEC's interpretation creates four categories of non-security crypto assets: digital commodities, digital collectibles, digital tools, and payment stablecoins. Crypto assets considered digital commodities under the SEC's new interpretation include Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and Doge. And that's interesting, Doge. Under certain circumstances, however, issuers of non-security crypto assets may be required to follow onerous federal securities laws. Even a crypto asset that is not a security may become a subject to federal securities laws if it is offered and sold as part of the investment contract, Atkins said. Our interpretation addresses how the investment contract ends, freeing the subject and crypto asset from the SEC statutes. Whether a crypto asset is subject to investment contract will depend in large part on the promises of its issuer, according to a 68-page document explaining the SEC's interpretation of the securities laws. The real meat of its investment contract analysis and not the token taxonomy itself, Whitehouse Levine said. Industry executives, attorneys, and lobbyists celebrated the news on social media. Hang in the Lover, Alexander Grieve, Vice President of Government Affairs at crypto-focused venture capital firm Paradigm, wrote on X. To be sure, any interpretation of established law can be easily overturned by the new SEC chair. Only Congress can ensure that regulation in this area is future-proofed through comprehensive market structure legislation, Atkins said. I strongly support the ongoing bipartisan efforts on Capitol Hill to establish a durable framework for these markets. Alex Gilbert, is DL News New York based DeFi correspondent, and that's kind of who wrote this article. So, what do you guys think about crypto? What do you guys think about XRP, Bitcoin? Who's going to win the race? I think it's going to be XRP. Honest to God, it really does seem that way. I'm not an XRP maxi in any way. I am also invested in Bitcoin, so I'm definitely not any kind of maxi, right? I am a crypto maxi though for sure. I believe in cryptocurrency. I think there's just so much potential in crypto. I think it's going to make a lot of people wealthy, and we're in a time where it needs to happen, especially with 38 trillion dollars plus in debt, right? Crypto's kind of a solution for everybody. The fear and greed index, it seems to be moving right around 36. I think yesterday was at 42. So people, again, they're getting paid and they're spending their paycheck on crypto. That is the average investor today. People are putting their money in to the highest yield, right? What's going to make you the highest income? You buy low, you sell high. Well, that kind of works pretty well with crypto, doesn't it? So Bitcoin, $71,405. Maybe not with Bitcoin, right? 71,406. I predict that Bitcoin will easily hit $200,000. I think it'll hit $200,000 maybe by the end of 2026, 2027. Ethereum, $2,194 right now. XRP's at $1.45. Binance is at $649. Solana is at $89. Tron is at 30 cents. Dogecoin's at 9 cents. Hyperliquid's at $41.37. Cardano's at 27 cents. Chainlink's at $9.21. Monero is at $355.37. Stellar Lumens, which is XLM, 16 cents. And of course, Trump's coin, World Liberty Financial, still 99 cents, right? So the market's looking pretty decent. Hedera Hashgraph, H-bars at 0.095 cents. Shiba Inu, I don't even know what this number is. That's one of the assets that is going to be accepted, though, in the future, according to the new laws that are being written. Kronos is at 7 cents. So what do you guys think about where we're going in crypto? I think we see a pretty bright future ahead. Average crypto RSI looking pretty, looks like we're oversold just a bit, right? So it looks like we're not oversold. Yeah, we're a little bit oversold. And then the overbought versus oversold, we're pretty much 8.1 oversold and 1.6 overbought. So it's kind of where we're looking right now. So what do you guys think? I think it's going to be a big future. I think there's big things happening. I think there's going to be huge developments. I think everything that we're going to see in the future is going to be pretty wild. I think there's going to be a lot of upside potential for anybody who is future thinking. If you're looking to make more money in the market, then I think you're going to do well in crypto. I think crypto is a great way to do it. I think everything's going to be dependent on the market and really this war, right? This war with Iran, it's going to pretty much decide the entire supply chain. It's going to decide the entire economy of the United States, right? Whether housing prices go up, go down. Same thing with oil, right? With the oil markets, if we're going to look at the oil markets or the gold markets, we can look at all of this, right? The Iran confirmed security chief, Rouhani has killed as Israel hits more top leaders. So again, that's just a little bit of news there, but it all connects, right? It all connects. This is going to impact oil prices. These kind of stories, this is what really impacts eventually the news and all of these kind of things. So this is kind of what the market's looking like today in the energy sector, $97 in crude oil. So we're not at $200 plus per barrel yet, but I think that we absolutely will hit $200 per barrel if we do end up staying in this war with Iran. And based on Prime Minister Netanyahu and the cabinet or in the Knesset and what they've been saying on their intentions to not just really topple Iran's regime, their leadership, but really they want to focus on also Lebanon and settling Lebanon. So not good. The war's going to go on. And, Trump is pretty much, he's in a tough spot right now. Not a lot of support with where he's at with what he's doing, right? So what do you guys think? I think overall there's a lot of potential in the future. I think overall, again, when you look at all of these different futures, Brent last day financial futures at $108. That's crazy, right? The market's growing up. Markets are going up. E-mini crude oil futures, $98. So the energy sector is looking pretty, I don't know. I think we're going to go right back over 100. We already hit over $100 a barrel for the Brent last day financial futures, you know? So who knows what's going to happen with oil? I think it's going to go over $200 a barrel for sure, right? When we really just look at everything that's going on, when we actually look at the grid and we look at the geopolitical map here, if you want to use this yourself, sorry, we're a little laggy right now. If you want to use this yourself, it's called Lint and it's pretty powerful. You can see pretty much all of the hottest stories that are circulating throughout the algorithms right now. So, for example, Iran targets Gulf energy facilities, says Tasmin, Iran's new says Iran's new agency. Oh my God, sorry there. Iran targets Gulf energy facilities, says Tasman. Iran's Tasnim news agency lists Gulf energy sites as legitimate targets, warning they could be struck at home. Look at some of these other critical updates here. We got a ton. There's a ton. So I like using this again. This is called Lint.trade, and it's a great way to pretty much track all of the biggest stories in the media and try to analyze all of those stories. You also get flight trackers here, as you can see. Worst disruption to oil flows ever. Oil surges after Iran war, gas assets. So let's take a look at this article. So what's great about this is that it gives you all of these articles from where these were posted and whether or not, based on virality, based on the relevance to the algorithm, based on how all of these things are kind of being affected in the market. What's cool about this is that it really hooks you up for the maximum form of information, right? So it is interesting to kind of look at what's going on. Worst disruption to oil flows ever. Oil surges after Iran's oil, gas assets attacked. So if we look at this map, you kind of get an idea of what's going on in the Iran war right now. We'll look at a little geopolitical summary of kind of what's going on. And you get a pretty good summary here. Israel says Iran's intelligence chief, Ismail Khatib, was eliminated overnight as pace of a top leadership killings accelerates. Iran says upstream oil and gas assets are under attack for the first time since the war began. Readies retaliatory action against oil/gas assets in Gulf area, including Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Yeah, what's up with the Qatar? What's up with the Saudi Arabia? What's up with the UAE? Right, Dubai's getting hit pretty hard. Right, so you got Andrew Tate who just left Dubai, and all these influencers and celebrities are leaving Dubai, and so we got a lot of big news happening there. Iraq reroutes some flows through the Ceyhan pipeline to Turkey. Iran retaliates new rules in place for Hormuz transit as traffic remains de minimis, sparking reports that the blockade is now at the worst disruption of oil flows ever. Iran FM says no change in nuclear posture, vows Tehran not pursuing an atomic bomb. Yeah, so a big part of the Iran, obviously, denuclearizing was the whole plan to de-enrich, to not enrich, uranium and all these things. But this is kind of a defense mechanism for the Iranians, and it always has been, so that way they wouldn't be attacked on all fronts. It's more of a form of deterrence. And so, when Trump basically signed out the Iran nuclear deal, when he basically signed out of it, basically ended that pretty much got us into this war. Here we are today. President Trump issues posts musing whether U.S. should finish off Iran through Tehran signals continuity, though Iran signals continuity and stability of government. Iran to Iraq gas flows halted following South Pars gas field attack and Trump's waves Jones attack. So, yeah, a lot of big things happening with the Iran war, a lot of big things happening with that entire story. Wanted to look at the market a little bit. So when we look at the market and when we see what's going on, I think there's a lot of big things happening, right? So I think there's a lot of big things happening. So, wow, gold. Whoa, what happened with gold? Is that like real? Okay, I wasn't expecting to see that. Whoa, gold dropped $129 an ounce, down to $4,894.40. Silver went to $77.75. Platinum went to $2,074.80, and palladium went to $1,595.90. Whoa, the market's like totally crashed. Wow, that is insane. View details. Let's see what this is about. That's insane. What is going on? What happened? That's interesting. So when we look at the mark here, we see the gold to silver ratio, kind of how that's kind of impacting it. But man, what happened there? That's insane. Anyways, gold is down, I guess. $296 down. That's insane. So this is why you need to diversify. This is why I'm always saying that you need to diversify, right? You need to look at all the different forms of assets. You also need to be keeping track of what the Fed is saying. I believe the Fed had some kind of meeting today. I think the Fed will be leaving, I think it's around 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Jerome Powell is supposed to make some announcement. Maybe I misread that, but I thought that that's what I read. But you got to keep track of everything that's happening, right? So they're always planning for the future. They're already planning for January 2027 and all of the different dates to come. Okay, so what do you guys think is going to happen with the interest rates? As a realtor myself, as an entrepreneur, I really don't see much of a positive outcome when it comes to a lot of it. But I will say there is still optimism when it comes to people who are investing in crypto, people who are investing in the future. And that's why I'm such an advocate of this. As a real estate agent, obviously I need to make money, but I can't make money unless you're making money, right? Whatever you're doing out there, whatever you do for an occupation, consider buying some real estate, work with me. And, the only way you're going to be able to do that, though, is if you have assets. You got equity, you got your ducks in a row, all of these things, right? So this is why I'm a huge advocate for crypto. I've been in crypto since 2016, 2017. If you're smart about it, and if you just, if you're responsible, don't move your money around too much, and you protect your information, all of these things, then you can have a pretty good life because of crypto. And so basically you do what you want every day, right? It's not fun to go to a job and do something you don't want to do. You want to do what you want to do every day. So I think we're coming into a future where crypto is going to allow for that to happen for a lot of people. So let's listen to this update from Nick O'Neill. I find this guy super entertaining. So we'll watch one of his videos real quick and see what he has to say about it.
Oh my God, the SEC just gave crypto the most important legal clarity in its history. The problem, it could be gone in 3 years. Here's what happened. For months, lawmakers have been working on the Clarity Act, the bill designed to permanently define what's a security, what's a commodity, and who regulates what in crypto. It hasn't passed. So the SEC and CFTC...
Yeah, this is the big news of the day. This is the big news of the Clarity Act and how everything's really changing and the trajectory that we're really going on.
Got impatient and decided to write it themselves. Here's what they decided. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other network tokens not secure.
I love how Bitcoin maxis just cannot say the word XRP. It's kind of hilarious. Like XRP was in that list. It was like one of the top 4. And they'll just never say XRP. They'll never acknowledge it. It's really hilarious.
Tokens, not securities. NFTs, memes,
I still love this
trading
guy, though.
cards,
It's funny.
in-game tokens, all not securities. Utility tokens, memberships, credentials, not securities. Stable coins, not securities. Mining, staking, wrapping, airdrop, none of it triggers security laws. The only crypto that is a security, tokenized stocks and bonds.
Yeah, so how are you guys feeling about this? I mean, whether or not you guys like Donald Trump, whether or not you guys like the current administration, the one thing I love about the Trump administration right now is that they are a pro-crypto administration. Now, I'll have a lot of people saying, oh, Trump got rich off of World Liberty Fi and Trump coin, and it's like, well, it's the Wild West, dude. It's the Wild West of finance. You gotta jump on the opportunities. You wonder why these people are rich. You got two kinds of people. You got people who are complaining about the markets and how hard things are, and then you have the elites who are literally just learning how to adapt and endure, how to invest in these markets. They're analyzing, they're studying, right? They're figuring out what the next trend is going to be before it even comes, right? Not only are they trying to figure it out, they're trying to create the next trend. And so that's how you need to be thinking if you want to be anything like these people. You want to make these same kind of wealth. You need to aspire for great things.
That's it. Here's why that matters. For a decade, SEC enforcement was hanging over every project, every exchange.
Yes, they were.
Every token. Entrepreneurs left the U.S. for fear of being literally imprisoned. Billions sat on the sidelines.
That's right.
That overhang just lifted, and the SEC even called its own prior approach an utter failure for choosing to regulate by enforcement. But here's what most people are missing. This is regulatory guidance, not law. The next administration can reverse every word of it on day one. The only thing that makes this permanent is Congress passing the Clarity Act. That's why none of crypto has moved on this news.
The one thing that concerns me, though, about Congress is the Democrats. If you really do the research, you'll find that the Democrats are just not in favor of crypto for the most part. For themselves, sure, as every congressman is. But, what's really interesting, they're very, they're not really pro crypto. And I'm talking specifically, and John Deaton would agree with me on this, that, Elizabeth Warren and these kind of actors are just terrible for crypto. They're terrible for the market. These non progressive financial people who don't know what they're saying or doing. We need to have money in the market. We need to be able, just like the Federal Reserve created dollars out of thin air, the way they do it the same way every day, the way you're paying your bills, the way you're going to work, you're slaving at your job while Jeffrey Epstein's and that entire syndicate gets away with everything and they make billions of dollars every year. Think about it. Think about it. So, the only way you're ever going to really be successful is you're going to have to, again, invest in the future. And I believe that the future is absolutely cryptocurrency. And so cryptocurrency is just one part of it. There's going to be multiple forms of assets, alternative currencies in the future, lots of things like that. So you got to jump on those opportunities and you got to understand what time you're living in. Okay, the Clarity Act, this is big. And what will happen after that, we don't know. Okay, anybody who says that they know, they're lying. Nobody can predict the markets, right? Finance is harder than physics, as they say. MIT professor Andrew Lowe, he once said that finance is harder than physics because finance is not formulaic necessarily, because it's unpredictable. Mathematics is more unpredictable in many ways because you don't know the way people are going to behave and react to certain things, specifically finance, right? There are certain psychographics. There are different emotional triggers. There are different reasons people do what they do. There are different circumstances that stop a person from being able to invest or not being able to invest. So you look at all of these different situations, there are so many factors that come into play when it comes to finance. These are the masters of the universe, the way I like to see it. Because if you understand finance, you understand really how this entire system works. You understand that with crypto, you can create a new asset. You create a new asset. You create an alternative asset. We do the same thing that we did with the U.S. dollar. And they say, well, that creates inflation. It's like, well, not necessarily, because we're creating a new market. It's a new market. We don't know what it really is yet, right? Remember the Social Network movie when Mark Zuckerberg was asked, hey, we should run ads by Eduardo Saverin. He said, hey, we got to run ads on this, man. And he's just like, no, we can't run ads. Zuckerberg said, we can't run ads. No, because we don't know what it is yet. Fashion is never finished. So just like Facebook is never finished, it's fashion, it's new all the time. It was brand new at that time. They have to see what it's going to become. You have to see what this product, what this service is going to manifest itself into.
We have more clarity. It's unfortunately only temporary.
Yeah, and that's the negative side of it. They're always going to be pushing things down the line one more year at a time, right? So again, they said if it didn't pass by April, the Clarity Act, then basically that we weren't going to see this thing pass until the end of 2026. And then when I did my research, I had basically learned that, basically because they are really saving room on the House floor or the Senate floor for the Save America Act. Basically, that's taking up a lot of the Senate floor time for the Clarity Act. So who knows when this is all really going to get done, but ultimately, this is why I say you need to diversify. You need to be maximum invested in everything as much as you can. So again, yeah, Joe Kent, that was some big news. After much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center effective today. I covered this in Ecker Geopolitics. If you want to go check out that channel at 7 p.m., we cover some of these kind of videos, right? We cover whether or not these videos of the alleged Netanyahu death, the alleged Netanyahu AI fake videos, allegedly, right? These things are being debunked, and we talk about all of those things. So check out Ecker Geopolitics every night, 7 p.m., Monday to Thursday, Eastern Time. Yeah, we cover all this stuff. Anything politics, geopolitics, we cover all of the analysis. We cover the media. We cover what other pundits are saying, other geopolitical pundits who, like Scott Ritter here that you're seeing on the screen. This guy is definitely, he's a true leader and a former Marine, these kind of guys. So I cover a lot of these bigger stories in the media and some of the war that's happening in Iran today, how that's affecting the markets, because you can't really understand the markets unless you're really understanding what's happening geopolitically, which allows you to understand what's happening geoeconomically, right? So as investors, we know we are addicted to knowledge. As investors, we want to know about the future. We want to know the secrets to the universe. We want to know why we're here. We want to know how we got here and where we're going. And so, with that being said, you got to be you got to be at the forefront of finance. You got to be always looking for new information. You got to be at the helm of knowledge and info. Okay, so it looks like we're just seeing a lot of political stuff in the X algorithm. I just wanted to look through that real quick. But yeah, guys, that's kind of where we're at with the entire crypto market update. What's kind of going on with that? What's going on with gold, real estate, and hey, here's what's going on with digital marketing. You need to help grow your business with more leads and AI systems. And when I say AI systems, I'm talking more obviously about more automation, right? So maybe you don't want to send cold emails. You don't want to set them up. You don't want to get spammed on the attributions. You don't want to run out of credits. You don't want to get nickel and dimed on all of these all this sorts around kind of go and we can selling passive income machine. So it says to stay organized in an entire online business, and that's what we're running here. So the idea is to stay organized, and you also have a team that's doing a lot of this stuff, so you don't have to do it. As a marketing CEO myself, I did this because one, I'm a nerd, so I enjoy building websites and doing all this kind of stuff. I love building AI agents. I kind of enjoy it. I like experimenting with it. It's all fun. And so a lot of what we focus on at Gold Shark Media is creating for contractors, particularly, it's what this word's best for. We really create you a lead generation system. And not just that, it's more of a follow-up system. So if you're missing phone calls as a contractor, you want to get more jobs, this is where we come in. We help you get more leads on a consistent basis. You need somebody to create your content for you. You need somebody to help monetize a YouTube channel, especially today in 2026 for you. That's kind of what we do. We focus on how to really grow your digital omnipresence on social media, right? So these are our plans just for our own CRM. Obviously, all prices are negotiable, but this is kind of what our baseline prices are, kind of where we're sitting at. And so, you get a pretty good deal with this, though. Ultimately, we got some good customers that are pretty happy with what we've done. I'm pretty happy with it. It's been a journey. It's been tough to build it all. It hasn't been easy, but I've become good at it and I've become a master at it. So if you want to learn how to grow your own business, you want to really learn how to make passive income, then I will help you do that. I'm also a real estate agent if you didn't know, and if you really didn't know, then you also have to know that I built my own real estate course. So for future real estate agents who want to make more money in today's economy, I created a real estate course that is relevant for all 50 states. It's relevant for anybody who wants to become a real estate agent. You want to become a real estate agent, you want to make more money, you want to just make more commissions on the side so you can focus on your businesses like I do, right? I like to focus on the stream. I like to focus on innovation. I like to focus on working with business owners like you out there, whoever you're watching. You're my audience, right? You're my friends, my only friends. And, so the way I like to see it, that's what I like to do, is help you grow and get to the next level, which means passive income, ebooks, lesson chapters, interactive videos, and PDFs for maximum value. That's what this online course really is. It's going to help you pass the real estate state licensing exam. And so you pass that state licensing exam, and again, you'll just have to take a 40-hour course before that. Then you pass their final exam. It's really not that hard, right? It's not that hard, especially if you're a nerd, you like to study, you like to really get after it, then I think you'll be just fine, right? So I really recommend passreusa.com. We create real estate agents. We'll help you pass that exam. We'll help you get it done. It's $99. You buy it once, you keep it forever. It's not like it's a monthly time fee, but it's great for future realtors, okay? We need to make more money as an American economy. We need to make more money. That's why I did this. I'm sick of seeing people struggling financially. Let me tell you something. You sell $1 million house, you make somewhere around what? What's your commission on a $1 million house you sell? Somewhere around 33,000, something around that number. So that's not bad. That's definitely not bad at all. And so you look at a life like that, and it's like you think about how you can change the world too with that. So you want to become a realtor, you want to do all of that, then definitely sign up for sure. Also, again, be sure to subscribe to Ecker Geopolitics. Oh, sorry. I thought I had it up there. I thought I had us on our homepage here. You can tell I was editing content right before I got up here. So as we look in here, yeah, check out Ecker Geopolitics. Again, we talk more about obviously world news, events, and some of the more controversial subjects, right? Left, right, that's not what it's about. We're about seeking the truth here. So we ask questions. We talk about the things that you're not supposed to really talk about necessarily. It's a brand new channel, but I enjoy it. I like it. It's a good time. And again, the idea is to educate on not just geopolitics, but also geoeconomics, because there are just so many different things that are really impacting our world today. And it's hard to keep up with it all. And that's exactly what I do. So subscribe to this channel. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to follow these markets Monday through Thursday. I'll try to catch every single day at 11. I'm a little bit more consistent on my 7 p.m. show. But hey, 11 a.m. Eastern every single day, Monday to Thursday. I'll try to pop on here and I'll try to do a live stream, and we'll talk about all of the newest business developments that are happening in the world, right? The markets and all of those things. So, with that being said, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the Clarity Act? What do you guys think is coming? What do you guys think is coming with crypto, with AI, with blockchain, all of these things? How do you think the Iran war is going to impact oil prices? Do you see oil going above $200, or do you see it dropping like Trump said it was going to? Trump said you were going to see lower oil prices than you were ever going to see. And then he made statements like he's going to bomb Iran harder than they've ever been hit. We're going to be in Iraq only 4 to 5 weeks. But then he'll say we're going to be in Iraq as long as it takes to annihilate their leadership. So he'll say these things and it'll be double speak. So how are you handling that? How are you interpreting and analyzing the unpredictable twists of fate in 2026? That's my question to you. Are you diversifying? Are you working on new things? Because I think that's the time that we're living in, right? It's pretty much, you could call it the apocalypse in some ways, or you could call it a new beginning. And I like to believe that it's a new beginning. I like to believe that it is some kind of great reset, and it feels that way. Really, since COVID is when that started. That's when I really started to sense that, right? What about you guys? So maybe we're in a new era where there is a new transfer of wealth that is about to happen, a generational transfer of wealth that may be one of the last opportunities for humanity, and especially America, to truly become wealthy. And so buy low, sell high, and try not to die.